Hey guys, this is Remo of T with episode 1, composition, for my mini art tutorial series that you guys requested from me. I asked you guys what you want to learn a little bit, just quick and easy on Instagram, that I've been doing for the past couple of weeks with my art and illustration, and what things that you want to learn to help better improve your own personal art. So this is going to be a too in-depth tutorial. I have like plenty of links I'm going to put in the description of this post, video, or wherever I upload it, right next to this video, with a whole bunch of references and resources that I've been using lately for this past summer to improve my art, and you can use that to improve your art as well. But this is like the rundown of like what I usually do for each project that I've been doing recently and what I've been learning. But in general, we're going to go over just quickly building a visual library for yourself, building the foundation of your next illustration with, sketching, and then laying out the composition with matrices and a little art knowledge and definitions they can use to like keep in mind when you're doing your next drawing. So anyway, like I go through all these Pinterest boards, I look specifically what I'm interested in and what is the mood and message I want to give off. I specifically want to look for stuff related to the Damn era. It was a very pivotal time in his career, very successful, very creative, very impactful, and I wanted to like just give the feeling and emotion that comes from a lot of the photo shoots that he did during this time. And recently I've been catering my page to be more hip-hop and anime infused, so I was looking for more panty and stocking references, their art style, how it looks, how they're drawn, how the characters are laid out. You look for those kind of specific things to help bring into your next piece and fuse a whole bunch of stuff together. So I'm combining style, line art, composition, how they color the characters, with the photo reference, style and imagery that I'm getting from here, putting them all together. One of the big drawings that I got that I enjoyed the most was this one, and I loved how close up and intense the photo was. Like, it's very detailed. It's the GQ story that they did for him. Beautiful photo. So I wanted to use this photo, and what I did was, that's Rihanna. Look at that fish eyes. All right, we're gonna get into, that leads into my next point of sketching. And when you do a lot of sketching and you pull from references, I have the big label here. You want to go as detailed. No, not as detailed. You want to go into as many sketches and refine the details as much as possible. So what I did here, for example, for the Rihanna, I did like a basic rough sketch of the pose that she was in her own photo. We don't have a reference right now, but if you've seen this post, you know what it looks like now in the complete stage. And I went through different versions of her head style, more catered to the panty and stocking style that I showed you earlier on Pinterest. Like just sharp, flat curves, more bean shape than anything, with the head like this, eyebrows there, eyes here, anime nose, and then the mouth. And then over here I tried fusing it with more of her natural head shape. So you got the bend here on the side of her face where it would be a cheekbone, her cheek itself, and then her chin, and then it would be just loop around. You got the eye, the middle of the face, eye level, eyebrows, nose, etc., mouth. We got that done, and then the hairline, etc. And so I just go through several versions of these, dozens, maybe up to like 50 if I'm like really running through it. I'm like just trying to figure out the perfect head shape. here's more of the closer like example of what I wanted to use. Don't mind the fish eyes. I was recording earlier trying to figure out how I want to lay this out. So this is more oval shaped, more softer. Put the sharp angles, cutting them out here, and you got the middle of the face, eye level, eyebrows, matching the ears, mouth, and then putting the eyes there. And then just laying out specifically how I want the individual person itself. What I've learned from graphic design, you build out a lot of the individual pieces, just micro pieces, separately away from each other to make sure each little individual piece looks good. You're basically collecting all your materials that you want to use in your composition, making sure you get a concrete idea if I'm messing up your paper, because I'm a very messy drawer. And so imagine if I tried laying out the entire person, a whole bunch of stuff. You're building out a scene, you're pulling out all those references that you researched earlier. You want to research 30 minutes to an hour, maybe 2 hours, getting out all the details and everything that you want to put together and to build like a beautiful composition. So say if you wanted to paint Rihanna sitting in a chair inside of a room, you would need to know how the room look, what kind of table you want to draw, what kind of chair, what's the decor, what's the color of the room, what's the lighting and the mood. All those pieces come together, and if you're a very messy artist or you're a beginner, it's kind of easier to just separate those things a little bit, not refine them so much in the beginning where like they might not fit together. You just get the basics, the basic shapes, the basic layout, how you're gonna want to put them together, and then when you can start from scratch and just build out like an entire new piece. And so what I did here was like build out the little pieces, put out what I wanted to do, maybe do a whole bunch of different sketches of paintings and styles from different references, see what fits better, see what I want to use, and we can get to the actual drawing itself. So what I have here is my line art, and I have my sketch. Usually a basic like starting point as a beginner, you can use the rule of thirds and use these as focal points, and you can place specific parts of the composition that you want to have focus on with these focal points. So if I wanted Kendrick Lamar's eye to be here, and I wanted him to be taller, if I drew him taller, then it would be there. It'll take up most of the composition and it will work. It'll be a nice, just fell out portrait. If I want to do something more dramatic, let me increase this, like the photo that we had for reference, pull them out. Oops. All right. Get that in there. There we go. We'll pull them out. Put his eye here. Bigger. I want his eye right there, and we can do that. His head will be cut off, but it'll give the same feel and the same intensity as the photo we saw. His head is like really in your face. The majority of his head, the focus of the important details are above the bottom line, the bottom third of the composition. So literally the entire focus of the painting would be here. And this would be empty. Basically empty space compared to the rest of the composition. But right now, I wanted to exemplify, his face. I wanted to more focused on here, have the eye go down here, look across, and shoot down. That's what I was aiming for with the movement across the board. And so make sure he stays, on the bottom 2/3 of the canvas, Have the room for the top on here for the contrasting words damn against, you know, him himself of Kendrick. And then I had positioned Kendrick to be more closer to this section of the composition, following the rule of thirds. So back to the line art. I like where my sketch is at. I create the line art for it, put it right here, draw it out. As you can tell, I changed it a little bit just for the aesthetic purposes and what I wanted to like have this pose be. It all depends on what your ideas, and again, nothing's always too concrete. You can always change it up at the last minute, make something even cooler. You know, a lot of things come out of like the final hours of the night, and it just makes it a whole lot better. So before we get into really directly into what I do to lay out my composition, I'm going to show a little excerpt over a video from Bill Perkins that I learned over the past couple months that has been really helping me improving my composition and my layouts across the board, from design to illustration to just random, like, you know, doodles here and there, in order to keep it on my mind and single tracked onto like a single goal of like making sure this composition looks nice.
And if I said it was high key, you might think it's overall light. If it's low key, they might say that for overall dark. But that was all the information I got. And it didn't cross over into other components because I didn't learn those things in school. And so this was information that was really, I looked at Maitland Graves, who was really talking about this and made this really clear, that your major key is really about proportion. So within a given image, you might have mostly light and compared to a small amount of dark. Okay? So I'm just putting down a symbol for our major key. It's about proportion. So that's what you're measuring. Now it could be overall light to dark. It could be overall shapes, mostly squares or mostly rectangles or geometric shapes, in contrast to more organic or circular types of shapes. It could be, you know, any of our visual components can be measured by a major and minor key. Whatever makes up your image mostly, you know, that would be your major key. So you could have, I'm going to back up here, and you could have a major key of line, of tone, of shape, of color, of space. Maybe mostly the space that you render is deep space, but you have a couple flatter space elements in there. Well, that would be your range of contrast between the deep space and some elements of flat space. That would become your minor key. So your minor key is your range of contrast. And I'm going to do this with 3 circles just because we can. And I'm going to say, okay, the first one here is the greatest contrast. Okay, it's black and white, it's your greatest contrast. So your minor key is your range of contrast. Okay, that's a range of contrast within your image. Okay, now you can have a situation where I'll do this. Now the first image here is like 50-50 as far as proportion, right? And it has a white and it has a black. Our other range of contrast can be like white and a light gray, like this middle one, okay? Now you could have an overall proportion of white, but your range of contrast never gets this dark. In a high key painting, it may only get here, okay? Or you could be in a situation where it could be mostly dark, but your range of contrast is minimal as well, and you're looking at something like that. So in these two cases, your second and third circle diagram down here, the first one would be a major key, a high major key, right? It's overall light, right? And it have a low minor key, low contrast, Okay, so this would be a low contrast. And then the third one would also be low contrast, so it'd be a low minor key. But its major key would be low as well. So it's low major and low minor key. These are just little symbols on here, but we'll find that as we get into these, it's really going to determine the mood of your image. Value has a really strong effect on the mood. And
so let's get started and trying to figure out how we're going to lay out the composition. Because we already have Kendrick on the bottom right portion of the paper, but that only does so much. You want to create with color and lighting and various values of like what you have in the composition. So I'm going to work with this. So the light source is on this side. The light is value. Well, we're going to do this. The light is value. It's all in the background. Those are the lightest colors in the composition. Right there is already a pretty good flow, essentially. Like, it's interesting. It's already interesting right there. And so, middle value. It's not the darkest value. It's not the lightest. It's just in the middle. I'm gonna go here, for example. It can be this specific area where the figure is slowly turning the body away from the light source. It's not getting all of the light. And you can decide how you want to interpret this. You can decide what is in the light, what is not in the light, and what's halfway in there. So this is like middle, and then this is light, and then this is middle. Because look at the color of it. It's definitely darker than this color. Light, light, middle, and then let's see, the majority of this is middle. Like, I know there's light in it, but the value of it is actually darker than this right here. So you have to keep that in mind. And you know, it all depends on like how you categorize the colors and everything like that. So this is still technically lighter than this side, and there's still a nice composition. Like that. So you're seeing it being dissected depending on whether I'm focusing on the light source affecting it or the actual true color of it in theory. And so we can go even deeper. I'm gonna make this easier for me, so if I make a mistake, it won't be a big deal. I'm gonna go to the darkest value. So his hair is black. Put this here. Beard is black. Mustache, black. Eyebrows, black. Eyes, black. And then the light source creates it as black, or the darkest value, compared to the gray and then the white. And so you can put it all together, create like a meaningful, interesting shape. It's all fluid together, and it creates a nice pattern effect. So it's all in the matter of like what is interesting. So it's like light, dark, middle, dark, light, pattern right there. It's straight across right there. You see that? Or even like deeper, light, dark, middle, dark, middle, dark, light. Just literally flipped over and over that across the way, if you notice that. And whether or not you think it's intentional or not, it doesn't matter. Like, the matter of fact is like, it exists. It's there across the board. It creates a sense of like rhythm, and that's what you want to do with your composition. You want to make it interesting and pleasing to the eye. But you get the gist of it, and it creates like a nice sense of pattern, and you get the nice composition. Like, you see the light source here, the majority light source here, it's fluid up in here, it's like a nice round motion, everything flowing together. But again, this is just laying out the values. This is not the final concrete piece. And so this is the gray value scale that I created for my painting. I start off with like a lighter value. Pull up the little thingy. Start with the light value here, and I got deeper into with the middle value. There's light source hitting it, obviously, so it's not going to be completely dark. His shoulders hunch forward, so there's a shadow here, but going into the middle values here, also bleeds into his face, and that's the composition. It just flows in. And then with the dark composition, it's his hair and his beard, and it connects to the shadows of the face and the jacket. So there's a rhythm going into it. And the interesting thing that I tried doing was connecting the white values, the light values, in the middle of this thing. So if you read the word damn, back and forth, eye, nose piercing, teeth, buttons. So it's just a straight downward path. And if you look at the drawing, the line art helps out with that idea as well. I made sure to put very solid straight lines as well, so those eye movements can still go down there same way all the time. And that's what I try to do to make the eye be guided by the composition, and it's pleasing and it's nice to follow. But I went even further, and I put in like more contrast to create a more moodier scene, a more moodier sense of the composition. Filled out the black area much deeper, bled it all together even more, made this completely just split of light and dark. So you got the composition itself from what I made there, and you have light and then dark, and it's almost even split on here, and it's a nice rhythm. Show here, damn, center here, circle around, and lay out into the shadow. You can have it that motion, or you can interpret it as damn, face, circle around into the shadow, straight down. Or you can do damn, eye, eye, piercing, teeth, button, straight down. So it's just always, the main idea was to go completely straight down. And it gives a sense of weight to the composition as well. So, sounds a little convoluted, sounds like a little, pretentious in a way, but it's those fundamentals, those ideas that you can put into your next composition to make you feel better about what you're creating, to make you feel like you're delivering your idea, or you're giving your mood or your message through your artwork. There's a lot of historical studies of like old professional master paintings and noticing those little fine details. And it's the difference between you saying like this painting looks nice, moving on, or oh, it looks cool, and versus, you know, saying like, oh, I like the way this arm flows, I like the way the lighting hits his face, I like the way that the arms connect into like a focal point. I like the way that everything is like straight down here vertically, and then everything horizontally is like curved. It's a nice contrast, it's a nice pattern, it's a nice rhythm. And you know, the further along I'm going to be posting more art, you'll see like I'll be steadily implementing the idea more and more and improving upon it, and like putting into different styles and references and pieces. So that's about it with the tutorial. It wasn't too detailed, it wasn't too in-depth. It's my first tutorial, so this is my first try, so bear with me. It'll get better along the next couple weeks. This is actually like the fourth hour of all my takes. So this is the best I got at the last minute. Well, not last minute, the end of the week, so I can be able to edit this whole entire video. Just being open with you guys and how I work with this kind of stuff. But if you like the video, make sure you share my Instagram, RemoFT. Go to my website, remoft.com. Check out the free screensavers. I don't know why I say scrapers. Free screensavers for your phones and tablets and stuff like that. Have my cool artwork as your background, or share to someone who you think will enjoy it. Check out the rest of the website for more like gallery stuff, and like if you want to contact me, message me. You know, subscribe to my email list. You'll get updates eventually and stuff like that. I'll have another fun giveaway. But other than that, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for checking out and listening to me rant over art. Love you guys. Bye.